Welcome back to Homeopathy at Home with Melissa. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Bri, I am so excited to talk about and actually share with our listeners what we do when we're sick and when our families are sick. So, you know what I have seen over the years is people get kind of surprised when homeopaths get sick because they're like,
Yeah.
wait,
You're
like
supposed to be healthy all the time.
all the time. And
Well,
so,
I
go,
think this goes back to we just talked about this. I
yep,
think our understanding of healthy is skewed sometimes, even mine. And I have to remember that a healthy body is not one that is never symptomatic or never encounters an acute illness or something.
exactly.
Um, but like that we can come back to baseline and come back to balance fairly quickly and well
Yeah,
without it lingering or whatever. So yeah, we do get sick.
yeah.
Technically, I'm not a homeopath yet, so I can get
You,
sick. You
you
just can't.
are.
I'm just kidding.
You are a homeopath.
Yes. Well, here in the US. Anyway,
Um, yeah, so I do. I still get, it still gets people get surprised when they hear that I've got a cold or a flu or something.
yeah.
And I just thought that it would be encouraging to people to hear what we do. I mean, I think I've even gotten that question like, well, what would you do? What do you do
Yeah.
here? Because I do a lot of acute consultations. And in the acute, and you do some too. So in the acute consultation, the difference between what I tell you to do and what I do for myself is only there because I'm not you and I'm not with you and I don't know what's going to happen next. So when I do an acute consultation, I'm usually doing remedies every 3 to 6 hours. And I say that, every 3 to 6 hours. And I'll say one or the other, take this remedy and then let me know how you're doing in 24 hours. For me, I don't set an alarm at 3 hours and take the remedy because I pay attention to my body and I take the remedy again when I need it. But that's often too hard for people who
Yeah.
is deep into homeopathy as we are.
Well, and I do even tell people when we're telling you things to do or like it's not that it's this hard rule you have to follow. If it's 3.5 or 4 hours, it's okay. Or if you forget to give the other dose and it's 5 hours later and you notice they need it again, that is okay. It's just when you're telling other people, it's easier for everyone. It's easier for them if you're just told what to do. So yeah, I think that's very different too. I don't always do things the same. Um, but I'd love to know. I don't even know that you and I think we probably know what the other one does because we've observed over the years. But I would love to know I think I know what you do, but what about for your family? Are you really on top of things, or do you find that we're really good at telling other people what to do, but then when it comes to you, are you like, I forgot, I haven't taken anything.
I'm really good at telling everybody else what to do.
Yeah, same.
For my family, if somebody's sick, well, and then you also have to keep in mind that my children are 17, 19, and 28.
Right. Right, true.
So I'll tell, but when they're sick in bed and they don't feel good, I'll take them remedies, but they usually will have to ask. Because I'll be busy, I'll be working or cleaning or something, and then they'll text me and say, I need some more remedy. Well, then I'll take it to them. But I don't keep an alarm going and say, oh, you need some more, you need some more. I just yeah, I give it to them when they ask for it. So that's
Mhm.
kind of the same thing. When my body asks for the remedy again, I give it. So, let's just take a flu, for instance. As soon as somebody comes and says, my throat's really dry, I give the remedy that's indicated at that moment. And that's probably, might be throat calm. It also depends on the person. So I know that my daughter's ferrum phos. I know that my youngest son is phosphorus. And I know that I'm usually throat calm. I mean, if I've got a sore, dry throat, throat calm is usually my first go-to. And and then I might not I might not do 4 doses or 24 hours of that remedy. It depends on what happens next. So
Yeah.
maybe it might even be maybe more than 24 hours later, they say, I have a headache. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot you had a sore throat. How's your throat feeling?
Yeah.
But if they're really sick in the bed with a fever or whatever, then as I'm checking on them and I'm like, how are you feeling? What do you feel like? I'll ask the questions.
Hmm.
What do you feel like right now? What does that feel like? Or I can just observe that, my son is asking for ice cold drinks. All right, you need some phosphorus too, So for my family, yeah, it's just really laid back. It's really as the symptoms present. I don't waffle, so I don't want to sound like that. I don't waffle between remedies because I don't know what to do. It's just yesterday you had a dry sore throat. Today you don't have that. Today is, you know, um, what a fever and a cough or whatever. So I changed the
Right.
remedies based on the symptoms and we expect for their energy to come up. So I'm not trying to turn this into an acute, like learn how to treat acutes, but in my family and myself, I'm really laid back. What about you?
Yeah. I would say the same. And I've kind of always been that way anyway. There were a few times that I got a little freaked out about things when my mine were babies. And mine are younger. So mine are 9 in a couple days, 7 and 4. And just recently, okay, so I'm trying to think through that. They got sick one after the other over the week of Thanksgiving. And we had family in town, so I think in the past that would have been super stressful. But one of them just started feeling like didn't have an appetite was the thing I noticed. I didn't do anything. I just noticed he didn't really eat much.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then that night he wanted to go to bed during dinner and he threw up. And he was warm, he had kind of a fever. So I gave him I think Nux vomica and belladonna. That's probably what I did. If he had a fever, I always do belladonna in our family with a fever
Mm.
of any kind, even if it's not super high. It just has worked very well. So I just keep using it. That was from my pre-rule. I didn't know anything when I started using belladonna, and I love it. So I usually start them on that, and that either kind of knocks him out, they go to sleep, and it did for him. But he woke up a few more times throwing up, and it kind of the next day he woke up and said his throat was sore, and then he had really like a lot of sinus congestion. So I changed remedies for that. So by the time the same thing happened that next day for my older son, and then the third boy, he's the youngest. So by that time, I was much more on top of it. Like the first kid, I kind of waited until he acted sick before I even was paying much attention at all. And
Mhm.
then my older son got it, and I kind of did the same thing. I gave him a couple remedies and let him go to bed. And by the time it was our third, he's 4, he told me his mouth hurts. Like he doesn't know, or his neck. He said his neck hurts. I guess he doesn't know what his throat is. And I knew at that point, okay, I'm like, all right, I know what's coming. I started the remedies earlier. He never threw up. It didn't even progress the way the other two did. So I do think when you have it happen in cycles by the third, maybe I'm a little more proactive. Um, but outside of remedies, I try to like cut back on sugary junk, like feed them well, make sure they're eating better
Oh
foods.
yeah.
Um, Not at like resting, I mean, in bed a little bit more, or I'll let them watch more TV than normal so they are little boys. They will get up and
Hmm.
run around and then feel awful, even
Hmm.
though they know they don't feel good. So I don't want to force them, but I do kind of like, just will you stay in here and just rest for a little bit?
I'm glad you brought that up though, because I do that for sure. When I'm sick or there's, well, let's say this, when me or my husband or my sons are sick, if it's just Grace, she's not going to drink meat stock, so I'm not even going to make it. But
Yeah.
if it's anybody else, even if I'm sick, I'll get in there because it's so easy. I'll get in there and make the
Yeah.
meat stock. And so that is something outside of remedies I will absolutely do is have the meat stock. Um, and 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 yeah, I love what you're saying about rest. It's so important to rest.
Mhm.
And and I think also having used homeopathy for 25 years, that it's easier to be relaxed about it because I'm not brand new at learning this. I'm sure back in the beginning I was not as relaxed about it, and my kids are older, so you get there, right? It gets easier.
I do remember feeling like it was really overwhelming to know what remedy to pick, and I would spend so long like trying to look through my notes and Googling something and figure out like what do I use. So I absolutely think I feel much more comfortable picking remedies, but also just I think before I'd pick a remedy, try it, and then I would be thinking about like, okay, I'm gonna watch and see if it works. So my brain is always so wrapped up in what remedy do I pick? I give the remedy, then watching, is it working? Is it not working? Should I do a different one? And now I just give it and let it go. I'm pretty confident it's
Yeah.
gonna do something.
Go about your life, right, or your day, and don't stay focused on it and what's it doing and what's happening now. Um, you know, so here's what I thought I just had. What if we think about, and it might be easier for you because your kids are younger than mine. Um, what is What do you do when your children are young and you're studying homeopathy? Where do you go? Where do you start? When you don't know the remedies yet, you've just started studying or you've been studying for a little while and you're like, all right, well, I have, these notes from classes and I have these books. Um, but in the middle of it, it's just hard to think. Where do you start? What do you do?
Okay, well, what I did do for a long time is I would start Googling things. That took about 85,000 years to ever feel like I picked the right thing. And then I felt like I never had enough remedies. I would be like, well, I don't have that one. That got frustrating because I would feel like I buy remedies and then I'd never have the one that I need.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until your gateway class that I had learned kits even existed. So
Really?
yeah, I
Wow.
didn't have any idea. I just found them at the store. So I would just like
Oh,
buy what was at the store. I didn't even look on Amazon. I just bought what I saw in the store for the thing. Like
okay.
Belladonna said for fever, so I'd buy that. So, I mean, I was the person who like people ask to help you at the store because they're like, "Do you know what you're looking for?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, I don't." Um, so what I wish I would have known, and if you are listening to this, if it's possible to invest in a kit, do it. The kit usually comes with a little pamphlet, and that little booklet will tell you. It will have like a little mini repertory. It'll tell
Mhm.
you for a cough or flu or whatever, do this remedy, and you just do it. Just try it.
Yep. Yeah.
That's not what I did. Googling, you're going to find 100 different things. It's going to be really hard to go through. They overlap so much, and then you don't even know what remedy you have. Where in the kit, you have those. Pick
Yep.
from what you have
Yep.
and use a little book that comes with it. That is probably what I would recommend for a total newbie. And truly, and I'm not just saying this to try to sell something to you guys. I, when I started doing acute consults with you for my kids, even after being in gateways for a while, it wasn't just that you did the work for me. I was also learning, like
Mhm.
observing how often are you asking me to dose or, the remedy combinations and potencies that you're suggesting and when to change and the questions you're looking for and asking. I learned so much about how to even do that from you taking like doing the acute consult for me.
Yeah.
So I really am not, I don't want to be the person who's like, do this because it's our business, like it really is helpful to learn. You're treating your family, but you're also learning so much about how you would do it in the future that you will build confidence. I don't know. What do you
Yeah.
think? Is that what you'd suggest?
So yeah, absolutely. You can definitely learn from an acute consult. And I love when people ask me, why did you choose that remedy? I will absolutely answer that question.
Yeah.
when I can. So what I said in class the other night is, for the most part, most of the time I can tell you exactly why I chose it. Sometimes it was just, maybe it was just been past experience or a thought, and but I can confirm it. Now it's not like I'm just woohooing, oh,
Yeah.
belladonna popped in my head, so I'm going to use belladonna. No, I don't do that. But anyway, you just reminded me that's what I did early on. I used my kit. It had the little booklet, and I was like,
Yes.
early on, I didn't even know what a materia medica was,
No,
much
I
less
didn't
to
even know
use
that was a
one.
thing.
No.
Yeah.
So the little
Yeah.
booklet, I was like, oh, okay, well, all right, well, this matches, this looks good. And so, and you're
Mhm.
right, that's so good. The kit comes with usually, so you really do want to get a kit that comes with the little booklet that tells you
Yeah.
how to use the remedies in it. And
Now, at some stores, they have them. Like the little Boiron book is typically at the store where they sell Boiron remedies. So maybe if your kit doesn't have one, you could always grab one of those. Those are free.
yep,
But I feel like most kits come
yeah,
with something.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, so
yeah,
I don't follow a tight schedule. And I hope this isn't confusing or discouraging to those who have done or will do acute consults. When I tell you to do every 3 hours, it's only because I can't predict what's going to happen when. So it's just a guideline,
right.
right?
And typically, when people are coming for an acute consult, the illness has progressed enough that it's a little bit more severe. Severe
Yeah,
meaning like the symptoms are more uncomfortable. Um,
yeah.
like most people aren't coming for just a really mild cold. They're
Hmm.
coming when it's turned
That's
into like a
true.
sinus infection, or now I'm really uncomfortable and have a high fever and body aches.
Yeah,
So that's also why you're stimulating more often that
that's true.
movement. Um, but that is something I have found does work well. Every 3 hours for that first initial 24 hours to kind of like get things moving. I
Yeah.
started to do that more with my kids, I will say. Even if their symptoms aren't severe, I've
Hmm.
noticed it like pushing that through a little faster.
Nice.
I will give you a little secret for myself, and I've told you this, Melissa. I will not take anything, any remedies. If I feel myself getting sick, I haven't actually in a long time, now that I'm thinking this through, I haven't had any real sickness in a long
Yeah.
time. But when I do, or when I was getting them, I know that when I take remedies, especially for a flu, it burns its way through me and I'm better the next day, almost every time. But I will go like that's gonna knock me out. And so I will last time I'm like clean my house, I'll make meat stock, and I'm
Yeah.
like slowly going downhill. And I'll wait as long as I can till like my husband's home from work. And I know I'm gonna take that remedy and I'm gonna need to go to bed. Like it's
I
gonna
remember
knock me out. So that's something I'll do for myself. I will not take a remedy unless I'm ready to go to bed.
because
So
yeah.
yeah,
That's a really great point too, is that it's a really good sign when the remedy makes you sleepy and or if your energy comes up. So if it affects your energy, then you know you're on the right track, where most people are just paying attention to the cough, the mucus, the fever, but the
it's so fun. You and I are opposite. Oh my word, this woman taught a whole day class with the flu,
flu,
and
I sure
you
did.
take gelsemium and
Yep,
be almost good as new. Like you couldn't even tell. And
yep.
me, on the other hand, if I take one dose, I am literally like I have to go right to bed within 15 minutes. I will be asleep.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
that
So,
is really
yeah. I hadn't thought of that either. Well, I hope that this was actually encouraging and not confusing. And if it did bring up more questions for you or anything, comment. Go ahead.
I do think it's worth asking. I want to ask you this too. So we have remedies. That's kind of how we go about remedies. We've been using them long enough. I think we don't need maybe as often or as much stimulation during acute illness. as we haven't suppressed things for a long time. What other things? So we mentioned meat stock, we mentioned rest. Do you add
Mm,
any other supplements like vitamin C or NAC, zinc, or, the,
electrolytes.
yeah, electrolytes. Okay.
Electrolytes. Yeah, I really have noticed electrolytes in the last year or two are a big, and even in the absence of any vomiting or diarrhea, electrolytes can still be a really nice enhancement to the process. Um, I don't do vitamin C, and I've never taken NAC, zinc, glutathione, I don't know, all the things that
Yeah.
people, come and say they're doing this huge list of things, and I'm not judging you if you do that. I just feel like it's too much. For me, I don't do anything. I don't do any of that stuff. And I'm not saying it's wrong.
No, I think I would agree with you. I think the people do a lot of stuff, but I will say over time I just haven't found it as necessary
Mm-hmm.
to, like, it's not like I consciously thought I'm not gonna do all those things. I
True.
used to have like a humidifier and all like the chest rubs or like the nasal sprays that are even the natural kinds, the nebulizer stuff with colloidal silver. I used to have all that on hand because my kids got croup a lot. Um, but I have over time, I haven't needed any. The other night, I don't even think I told you, one of them woke up, had that barky cough following that illness. They all got congested, and one woke up with that croup sound. I gave him one round of that protocol, the croup protocol we use. And
Good.
previously, I would have had to turn the hot shower on. We would have gone in there. I would have like done all the things to avoid a big like episode. And one round of the remedies, I just didn't need all of that. So, don't I think when people ask us, typically that stuff isn't necessary. You might use more of that early on in remedy using. Like when I first started using homeopathy, I still did need some of those other supports, like the steam shower and like all that stuff. But over time, the remedies work so well, I have a whole cabinet of stuff I don't use.
That's true. I didn't even think about that either. That in the meat stock, I'm not even positive that I need it. I like it. It feels good.
Well, and you're
And
getting nourishment when you don't
that's
want to
true.
eat.
And the electrolytes are in the meat stock,
Mhm. Yep.
right? Wouldn't you say?
Well, at least minerals, you're getting
Oh, they
minerals
got,
and
yeah, and
hydration, and there
salt.
is
Yep.
nutrition. There's fat in there.
Mm,
I mean, it's
yeah,
so good. Yeah.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
tastes so, it's like
So
comforting
good.
when you're sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hopefully this was helpful to somebody. We got
Yeah.
to,
Oh, I do want to say something else because I just looked down and saw my little organic mini candy cane. I've been eating these things, and it reminded me that people have recently been coming, and I'm doing acute consults, and then a few days into it I realize they are using some kind of cough drop with mint or eucalyptus in it, and I'm like, darn it. I think in acute, so if you've listened to me before and you've learned anything from me ever before, you will probably have heard, I don't worry about mint. I don't worry about any of that stuff. But in an acute situation, I will stay away from it. I will
yeah,
stay
that's
away
true.
from mint and eucalyptus, tea tree oil. Are there any others? Camphor. I'll stay away from during acute illnesses. So look
Like
at
chest
your
rub.
yeah, the chest rubs, yep. If you like cough drops or whatever, and you have a favorite one, get one that doesn't have that stuff in it. And so this is actually my favorite. It's lemon ginger echinacea throat coat. Um,
Do those have that licorice flavor that the drink does?
let's see. I hope I'm not telling you wrong. Let me see what's in it. Let me see. All right, so it's got active ingredient. Okay. Inactive ingredient. What? What is in this thing? Okay, here. It's got ginger extract, lemon essential oil, sweet, yeah, that's it. So it is literally just ginger and lemon. I mean, it's got other stuff in it, but it does not have, no, it doesn't take like licorice. Not this one. So this one is,
Okay.
this
I feel
one
like
will,
that better.
if you like to suck on something for your throat, this one's not gonna mess up your remedies.
That is really good to know. I'm going to start recommending that to people. I don't think I knew they had
I
like
like it.
throat coat made a cough drop. Yeah.
Yeah. I have it right here because when I talk too much, I start getting froggy, and so it helps with that. But yeah, if you're feeling like like you need some help, you've got a cough or something you need to calm down, that's a good one.
All right.
Okay.
Well, you guys got to know us a little better, I think.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions or if you're confused. I really was hoping this would be encouraging, that over time, especially I think what the end message is, over time it's gonna get easier, faster, you'll be
Mhm.
more relaxed. It's not gonna be so complicated and scheduled and all the things with that people stress out about remedies. So hang in there. You're gonna get there.
Yep.